Mr. Chair and respected members of Council, I'm here today to ask you to vote in favor of reinstating an Integrity Commissioner. There's been an overwhelming amount of media attention given to this Council since you voted to remove the Integrity Commissioner. As a citizen who has an immeasurable amount of respect for individuals who devote their life to public service, I feel you did not give me that same respect when you voted to remove the Integrity Commissioner. Mr. Chair, I do not believe that you have been transparent in your decisions, especially with respect to complaints about the conduct of regional councillors. It is my understanding that you are to address any concern from a citizen and inform your colleagues. I've been told by several councillors that you did not follow through on your obligations. So before you vote tonight, know that your decision will have consequences, and know that a vote is a sign of respect for the staff and the citizens of the Niagara region. Through you, Mr. Chair, I requested to speak tonight again because my concerns seem to broaden each time I watch, participate, or read about council in the media, not just our local media, now our international media. It's not just one councillor, although one councillor did seem to demand a lot of our attention. At the May 18th council meeting, without exaggeration, I was almost ill. Mr. Chair, I had spoken to you about the lack of respect I have seen by council members and audience members at public meetings, and May's council meeting was no exception. Not long after that, I witnessed another councillor address John Mascarin, and at this point, I will admit that it took almost everything in my power not to interject. He began his address by stating that he didn't read the Integrity Commissioner's reports because he believed it would be a waste of time. Had I been in your shoes, Mr. Chair, I would have asked the councillor to sit down, remind all the councillors that it is an expectation of their role to come prepared for each meeting because it is the job we have paid them to do. In the past 2 years, I have seen several senior staff who are valued employees leave their position, and that is a huge red flag for me. Not too many years ago, the Niagara region installed security key passes to keep them safe from harassing council members, as I understand it. And still this behavior continues. It continues publicly with puffed up chests and the arrogance that we as citizens can do nothing to stop them. Well, I don't agree. I am certain that the councillors I reference know who they are, and their actions represent the worst qualities in human beings, a sense of imagined entitlement. Finally, the amount of latitude, Mr. Chair, that you and council that you have given the councillor who's on leave, and having worked is astonishing. Having worked in social services for my entire career, I learned that our clients are telling us only part of the story or the tip of the iceberg. This will continue to worsen unless council as a whole can commit to behaving better, to following a code that protects the interests of residents of our region, not creating a code that protects each of your interests. I believe that logic to be absurd. But I know that you have consciously decided to put your needs ahead of ours until this point. So prior to accepting a code written by those who must adhere to it, I will again ask you to consider your role, your influence, and adopt a code that will hold you to the higher standard of behavior as you represent Niagara. I requested to address council this evening because I placed a formal complaint regarding Councillor Petrowski's actions in April of 2017. As our Integrity Commissioner found, Councillor Petrowski was in breach of code of conduct. Tonight, I am asking you to remove Councillor Petrowski from each committee and ask that you discontinue his pay. This is Councillor Petrowski's 5th violation of the code. I've been working since I was 13 years old, and one of the greatest lessons I have learned is that when we have a misstep or failure, we take full responsibility, and when we have a success, we share it with others. Councillor Petrowski hasn't learned this life lesson. He is full of excuses and lies. Your efforts to support Councillor Petrowski have been ignored, and he continues to show blatant disrespect for each of you and residents of the Niagara region. Like everything associated with this councillor, the narrative is long and convoluted. Since I filed this complaint 6 months ago, Councillor Petrowski has sent an email containing pornography to more than 100 people, most of whom were regional staff and media. I cannot tell you how disturbing I find this. Once more, I cannot tell you how disappointed I am at council's lack of response, and I believe your inability to act and remove Councillor Petrowski from this position has left me vulnerable to an increasingly unstable man. So, Chair Caslin, 5 months ago, you asked Councillor Petrowski to resign, calling his actions reprehensible, and the conduct is completely unacceptable for a regional councillor, and that an individual's comments do not represent the values of our organization. You also stated that you demand better when conducting business on behalf of the region. So this is your opportunity to show us that you are a man of your word, and for those councillors who publicly supported your immediate response to this incident, to support you tonight by making a motion to remove this councillor from his responsibilities as a councillor representing St. Catharines for the region of Niagara. Remove Councillor Petrowski from his seat. Show Niagara residents that at the very least you value our representation.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to compliment Haley on her hard work on this issue. And I know that it takes a lot of nerve to stand up here in front of people and say the things that she's been saying. And I just want to compliment her, Mr. Chair, on having guts.